Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Marvel Fanfare number 3. This is written by Chris Claremont. This is from 1981. This issue in particular is drawn by Dave Cockrum. Michael Golden did the first two issues. Dave Cockrum does the third one, and then Paul Smith will actually do the fourth one here. I'm reading all the X-Men in order for the Chris Claremont era. I like to call it the Chris Claremont verse. We're gonna do his entire Uncanny X-Men run, his New Mutants run, his Excalibur run, his Wolverine run. But we're also going to do X Factor, which Louise Simonson did, but it's part of this great mythos. We're also going to continue with some of the Wolverine after he leaves, but for now, we're just going to concentrate. So everything's in order. I started with Giant Size X-Men number 1, which I covered as Classic X-Men number 1. So if you go to my X-Men playlist, everything is in freaking order. I started with Classic X-Men because they had great exposition. It had extra stuff that just wasn't covered in the original. So, all right. So, like I said, cover here by Dave Cockrum. Here we get both the front cover and the back cover. And this is just part of the editorial that we're just going to skip that here. Into the Land of Death. And so here we have our credits here. 2 hours ago, a world away, it was summer. At that moment, 4 members of the Uncanny X-Men wished they were home enjoying it. So real quick, Tom Marzakowski is not the letterer. Rather than flying into the heart of the nastiest Antarctic blizzard any of them had ever seen. And so Nightcrawler asks, the further we go, Odoto, the rougher things become. Do you want me to turn about and wait somewhere for better weather? And Storm says, according to this message, Angel's situation is serious, Kurt. Let us go on. I think our Blackbird aircraft can stand the strain. And Wolverine says, yeah, but can we? The ride's getting pretty bumpy. And Nightcrawler says, I know, Cyclops would undoubtedly prove a better pilot, Wolverine, but unfortunately he is ill, so you'll have to settle for me, unless of course you'd rather climb out and walk the rest of the way, says Nightcrawler. And Storm says, both of you relax. I have been examining this storm since we first encountered it. I think I have learned enough to try to moderate its effect on us. And it says here, but as Ororo releases her safety harness, all of a sudden the ship kind of buckles under the turbulence. She goes into Colossus. And of course, Nightcrawler says, sorry about that. I'm afraid, though, that things won't get any better. And Storm says, thanks for catching me, Peter. I am all right. Let me up, please. As you wish, Ororo. But I shall hold on to you just in case, he says. And Wolverine says, any way I can help, darling? I was just sitting here watching things happen, unable to act. It's driving me buggy. And Storm says, I understand, Wolverine. Be patient. And you can see Nightcrawler sweating through it. He's nervous. The Blackbirds hit a patch of quiet air, but I can't guarantee how long it'll last. Make your play, Odoto, quickly. And so we get a little exposition. Her name, of course, means beauty. Beautiful Wind Rider. So it gives you a little bit of her origin here. In her youth, she was a thief and later on the East African plain, a goddess. Today, a member of the X-Men. Storm leads the team of mutant superheroes. Her unique gift is the ability to control the weather. And so we get that exactly here. She reaches out with her mind, becoming one with the tempest, raging about the sleek skycraft. what her fellow X-Men see as wind and rain, thunder and lightning, and then we, of course, got the three dots that it's going to continue. Ororo perceives this pattern of energy. Gently, subtly, she molds those awesome primal forces to her will. And so we can see here, creating a bubble of clear, calm air surrounding the blackbird and guiding it safely to its destination. So, tally ho, Elf, there's a landing pad. And says Wolverine, and Nightcrawler says, "I see it, my friend. The blizzard's fouling up our instruments. I'll have to make a visual manual approach. Don't fail us now, Ororo. One stiff gust of wind and a sudden downdraft could splatter us all over the mountainside." And Storm says, "I am well aware of that, Nightcrawler." And so she's thinking here, there's something unusual about this tempest, its resistance, as if it had a mind and will of its own. The strain is terrible, but I shall prevail. So you can see here the Blackbird lands. Okay, troops, where we're supposed to be. What happens next? So, and now you can see here they're kind of going down. And so they're going down this platform, and Ororo is really straining here. Um, Peter calls out to her concern. I haven't been made mention of all the screen tone that has been applied. You see screen tones here and screen tones here. Anyway, Storm says, "I am well, Peter, truly, just tired. There's no need to concern yourself. My struggle with that blizzard took more out of me than I had anticipated." And she says, "My powers give me a certain empathy with the earth. The sense of wrongness I felt during the storm has not dissipated with our descent into the ice cap. Some unnatural force is affecting the totality of the biosphere. If allowed to continue unchecked, the results could be incalculable and devastating." So, all right. So they're down here, and Colossus says, "A military base buried 100 meters beneath the surface." And Wolverine says, "I'm impressed, but I ain't sure I like it." And here, Angel and Storm greet each other. "Angel, we came as quickly as we could." And he says, "I appreciate that, Storm, but where's Cyclops?" And she says, "He is ill. Sprite is caring for him. Regardless, I still lead the X-Men." And Angel says, "Sorry, old habits die hard. I guess I still automatically think of him as the boss." And this guy says, "I'm Colonel Carthart, or no, sorry, Cathcart. Welcome to the Deep Ice Station Alpha. If you follow me into the briefing room." And so Angel speaks here. "This is one of a half dozen such installations built and administered by the United Nations scattered around the periphery of the Savage Land. In terms of natural resources, the Savage Land is blessed beyond imagining these days. That could prove to great temptation for some freebooting entrepreneurs or country to resist. These spaces were established to protect and study the land, to keep its wealth and trust for future generations, and the use of all humanity." So, Storm says, "In your message, Angel, you referred to a threat." And he says, "I did indeed, potentially one of the deadliest we've ever faced. For me, it began in New Mexico mountaintop chalet when a working vacation with my lady, Candy Southern. I was interrupted by the arrival of Tanya Anderson." So we're going to just kind of get the background of the last few issues. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip here. So I have covered this and like I said, I have a playlist. So feel free to check it out. This just covered Marvel Fanfares 1 and 2. So it says here, "Suddenly, earthquake." And Nightcrawler says, "The ceiling is buckling. Colossus, turn to your armor. Use your strength to keep it from falling." So Colossus does as he told, but you can see all this snow and causing this gigantic avalanche here. And you can see Colossus holding it here. "You caught it. But it must weigh tons, Colossus. Can you hold it? And he says, easily, Storm. Wolverine, give me a hand. We will use some I-beams to brace this and prevent further collapse. So Angel says, the quake, it's over. The emergency lights, we can see. And Wolverine says, this place is a mess. Come on, heroes. We got a lot of work to do and a lot of butts to save, he says. So, of course, Storm is claustrophobic, and so she's seeing all this, and she's kind of freaking out a little bit, but she's um she's going to try. We every once in a while, Claremont still reminds us that she doesn't do well in closed spaces. So Wolverine says, "Sing out if anyone's hurt or trapped, and we'll cut you free." And there's like a tapping here. You can see it here. Wolverine, you hear tapping? It's faint, Elf. It's a tight fit, but I can see through the debris to the trap man. And so he teleports, grabs them, teleports out. He says, I need a medikit. I can port back there and play doctor. So he does what he can, so while the other two kind of help everybody free here. Easy, Flyboy. This one's in a bad way. And Colossus says, a temporary hospital has been established on level 3. Wolverine, I'll show you the way. And the Colonel says, this isn't the first such freak quake we've experienced, but it's by far the worst. Each time the epicenter was near a deep ice station. Our defenses are being tested, Storm. By whom or for what purpose, I don't know. I've sent patrols to try to contact Kazar. All disappeared without trace. And so she's sweating here. Still here. Like them, Colonel Cathcart, the X-Men can but try. So after a little bit, the X-Men have helped the base here. So the Colonel says, the cave is the main surface entrance to the Savage Land. I wish there were more of you. Angel tried to contact the Avengers and the Fantastic Four as well, but they're all evidently on other missions. If you fail, if the Sauron character proves to be as dangerous as the Angel says, the great powers will have no choice but to use military force against him. And that will mean an end to the Savage Land and perhaps the Earth as well, continues the Colonel here. So 5 of us against who knows what. One could wish for better odds. And Nightcrawler says, no use wishing for what cannot be. The longer we wait for Scott to recover or the Avengers to return from wherever, the worse things will get. Besides, we work best against impossible odds. And so off the X-Men go. Wind's blowing up tunnel from the Savage Land. I mark no hostile scents. The exit's clear. Says Wolverine, and Storm says, good, Wolverine. Angel, you take the point. Scout as far as the village of the Fall People. We'll stay in touch using our micro trans receivers. So, and then we get our first look to the Savage Land, and Wolverine says, this is my kind of world, people. I hope it never changes. So if something like this did exist, there'd be oil refineries and all sorts of stuff. People suck. We would do that totally. So, and so here comes Angel. If this place turns you on, Runt, you're more than welcome to it. Storm, we've got trouble. And Storm says, there was no need to report in person, Angel. Why didn't you use your radio? And he says, what I found isn't the sort of thing a body can talk about. And so Colossus says, what's the matter? What did you find? And he says, you'll see. And so from behind, they're being spotted here. They have returned. The Outlanders, our Lord and Lady spoke of. I must sound the drums. They must be warned. The intruders must be destroyed. There's Chief Tonga's village. Those crosses, are they? A warning, I suppose, to remind the Fall People of the price of resistance. It's hard to believe one human being could do this to another. Oh, you should never be surprised. And you can see how she's looking at it, so we don't get to see it, but you can see that it's something horrible. And Wolverine doesn't like it either. What's hard to believe, Flyboy? Oh, sorry, that was Angel who had said it, not Storm. What's hard to believe, Flyboy, is that we don't do it more often. Our capacity to kill is as infinite as our capacity to love, and it comes a lot more easily too. Angel, you're down on me because I'm a warrior, a killer, and I'm not ashamed of it. But when I kill, it's out of necessity or passion. This is murder as an act of policy, cold blooded and merciless. You may not believe it. Uh, you may not believe me, but there's a difference, he says. Of course, Angel quit the X-Men because of Wolverine. So Chris Claremont kind of says it was for the new series at that time, the Defenders, the new Defenders. So Wolverine says, Kurt, I mark a scent near the tree line, say 40 meters bearing 2 o'clock relative. Check him out, but watch yourself. The sucker feels big. On my way, Logan, and you can see he teleports. And so, um, is this barbarous? I think it is. Big isn't the word, my friend. This is a walking house. And based on the descriptions Angels gave us at Alpha Base, I think he's one of the bad guys. And he goes, I know not how you found me, Outlander, but you'll not hold me. And so, um, was Nightcrawler trying to catch him? Relax, Elf, he's my. And then he's hit here. Giant speeds is phenomenal. Is rarely caught off guard. The gust of wind should knock him off his feet and blow him into Peter's arms. I have him, Storm. Do you recognize him, Angel? He's Gaza, one of Brainchild's crew. He's blind, but his mutant powers enable him to see psychically. Kind of like, not quite like Daredevil. Daredevil uses a radar sense, but it's the same thing. He's blind and can just sense this. I said I'd return Gaza, and I have. I, Winged One, and I and my comrades pledged to slay you if you did. I love, again, the use of screen tones here and here. And we shall. And then this is Vertigo. Of course, this is the same Vertigo that will join the Marauders here. And so here comes everyone else. Amphibian, Barbarous, and so anyway, off they go, and they hit Wolverine here, and of course, Vertigo is using her powers to kind of make everyone disoriented. Colossus like, everything's spinning. I keep losing my balance. So we're gonna kind of harry this along, but he kind of sees who's doing it, and so he grabs a rock and hits Vertigo, kind of finally freeing the X-Men of her influence here. So off they go, and now the X-Men, it's their turn to fight the mutates. And so Brainchild's like, my fellow mutants are being defeated. And so off panel here, we can see it's Sauron here based on the screen tones here. Did you expect any other result? Be patient, fear not. I will yet be triumphant. So, and so this guy here, they finally says, I will talk, but out of choice, not fear. And of course, he's like, no, not fear. But Wolverine's like, ha. So he says that Shana, Zabu, and Kazar left the Savage Land, and it says here, this is to explore Pangea in the pages of his own magazine. So Tonga also ended up dying, and this is, of course, in Kazar number 5, which we're not covering, but it's letting you know that when the Tonga died in the fall, and the chief of the Fall people, it basically allowed Zaladane and her army to take over the Savage Land. Zaladane was the priestess of Garrick, and we did cover that issue, but I do not remember what it is. So, and so she and Sauron ruled the Savage Land together. Under his direction, we built an impregnable citadel in the center of one of the great central lakes. If you want Sauron, seek him there. We will even show you the way. And he says, "You're being awfully." Wolverine says, "You're being awfully cooperative, bub. Many have tried to storm our fortress. You will merely be the latest to fail at an attempt. Pretty cocky, ain't ya? You see, um, sorry." Amphibious says, "You were doomed, X-Men, the moment you set foot in Sauron's domain." He pops his claws. "Wanna bet?" And Storm says, "She's your claws, Wolverine. We do not harm our prisoners, regardless of the provocation." So, Storm then thinks, "The further we go, the more serious this becomes, and the greater the odds against us. Yet, we must proceed." So, and so the X-Men are moving here. We get some exposition about why Storm agrees with Wolverine about the Savage Land and being so good here. And so they arrive to that lake here, and you can see Angel is leading the front here. Storm is doubting herself at this moment here, kind of what to do, and so you can see here that something's going up. There's like these drawing hairs normally are used to illustrate confusion and tiredness, and so Amphibious says, "Tired, Wind Raider, perhaps you should like to rest. Untie me and I will do my best to make your rest permanently." And Wolverine's like, "Bun it, Froggy." "Or what? Storm said you weren't to harm me, and you always obey Storm, don't you?" And Wolverine's like, "You were harmed, bub. Now take that." And he jumps up. "Pathetic little man. If you intend to hurt me, you'll have to do far better than that." So, and suddenly we see here, "Yield, X-Men. Spare yourself needless pain and humiliation. But whether you resist or not, the victory this day belongs to," and of course we see the shadow, so we know it is Sauron. We get this wonderful splash page there. A lot of screen tones here being used. Oh, and some even in his mouth here. And so he's going to use his powers on them. He's got a hypnotic gaze, so he kind of gets him here. And Angel's like, "No, not again. I won't let you steal my mind again." And he kind of flies off in a panic here. And the Air Force kind of tries to go after him here, but the angel the angel kind of tries to get away, but he ends up outside of the Savage Land where it gets cold, and he ends up falling back into it, hitting all these trees here and brushes here. So we get here inside the citadel. "Welcome, fools, to my citadel. Your stay will last a lifetime, and I'm happy to say it will be far from pleasant. Indeed, the fate I have in store for you is as appropriate as it is horrible. X-Men, you have opposed me for the last time." And Wolverine goes, "You've won a battle, bub. The war goes on." And he says, "Perhaps, Wolverine, but your part in it is over. Haven't you wondered how my forces were able to capture you so easily? Your bonds are formidable for humans, but with your vaunted mutant powers, you should have no trouble breaking free. Yet you haven't even tried. You wait the slaughter as docilely as the sheep. The citadel, you see, is surrounded by an energy field that saps the will of all who approach. My forces are shielded from its effect. You are not. The closer you came, the weaker it made you." Again, look at that beautiful screen tone. "When I finally struck, you were virtually helpless." And of course, Storm, and you can see the anger in everybody. She says, "That explains my confusion, my lack of concentration. Sauron set his trap, and I led the X-Men to it." And so now they're all in that thing that we had seen, that devolution thing. I won't need to read all this because you've seen it before. So, and if you haven't, I have a playlist, as I mentioned before. And so The will destroyer will prevent your escaping during your brief periods of normalcy before the accelerator returns you once more to your prehistoric oblivion. Colossus is like, monster, by the white wolf, if I were free. But you are not free, Colossus. You will never be free again. Brainchild, begin with him. And so, um, you can see here, he's being devolved. Nightcrawler, what is happening? I cannot see. Consider yourself blessed that you cannot, Storm. And so you can see here. And so we get to the end here, the last panel. And he goes, I'm alive. It's a miracle, though. That fall would have finished me. But where am I? Whose camp is this? How quickly they forget it's mine, Angel. And he goes, you. They always go, you. So anyway, so that ends the X-Men's portion. Marvel Fanfare also had other stuff in it, but we're only concerned ourselves with the X-Men. So Marvel Fanfare number 3. Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum with Bob McLeod. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.